Welcome to this urgent explainer briefing. Speaking to you today from the perspective of an EU policy advisor, we're going to dive deep into Thorsten Meyer's incredibly timely May 2026 synthesis essay. We're looking straight at the future of the European sovereign AI movement. Now, if you follow AI development in European policy at all, you already know the stakes have literally never been higher. We're standing at an absolute turning point right now, and Meyer's framework gives us the exact structural clarity we need to navigate what's coming next. 12. That is the magic and honestly kind of terrifying number. We are exactly 12 weeks away from August 2, 2026. Now, why does that specific date matter so much? Because that's the exact day European Commission enforcement powers enter into actual application for providers of general-purpose AI, or GPII models under the EU AI Act. Time is completely up for theoretical debates. The operational reality hits in exactly 12 weeks. The regulatory cliff we're facing is staggering, and it is rapidly approaching. Back in August 2025, GPA obligations first applied. But the next milestone, August 2026, is when the actual Commission enforcement powers kick in. That's followed super quickly by December 2026, which is when the deadline for content transparency hits, a timeline that was actually shortened from its original plan. And then, by August 2027, even legacy models that are already on the market have to be fully compliant. This timeline puts massive, undeniable pressure on literally all institutional AI structures operating across Europe. Okay, so here's our strategic roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover retiring the single firm myth, the portfolio approach advantage, partnership architectures for resilience, compliance as a competitive moat, and finally, scaling industrial anchor investments. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Retiring the single firm myth and why we must stop chasing position 1. You know, for years, the European discourse has been totally obsessed with trying to catch up to the US venture capital model. We've been trying to build one massive single firm to achieve frontier parity with American hyperscalers like OpenAI or Google. But the source material explicitly lays out that this capability gap is structural at current European investment scales. We just can't win playing that specific game. It creates a brittle single point of failure. Instead, the empirically validated strategy is institutional diversity, a portfolio approach that focuses on vertical specialization, sovereign design, and deep regulatory compliance. And don't just take it from a policy perspective. Jonas Hondroulis, the founder of Aleph Alpha, perfectly validates this shift. He says, no European company can build a frontier model in isolation. The question is, which combination of partners produces a credible alternative to the American hyperscalers? This statement is just a profound acknowledgement that building a single European OpenAI is a complete myth. The urgent need right now is to pivot toward robust combined institutional efforts. Section 2, the portfolio approach advantage. Why diversity wins over single firm competition. It's like a giant puzzle. Different operational requirements demand completely distinct pieces, or in this case, project types. No single entity can do it all, and honestly, they shouldn't even try. If you need regulated public sector procurement, you're looking at an enterprise sovereignty model, like the post-merger Aleph Alpha. If your operational requirement is multilingual EU coverage across 35 languages, well, you need a pan-EU consortium like Open Euro LLM. For commercial frontier deployment, you've got Mistral. And for an architectural compliance reference template, you rely on a federal research institution model like Switzerland's Apertus. The strategic takeaway here is crystal clear. Europe's true competitive advantage is built on institutional diversity, not uniformity. Section 3. Partnership architectures for resilience. How we distribute risk against the regulatory wave. Single firms are incredibly brittle when facing those August 2026 enforcement deadlines completely on their own. But these 6 distinct partnership architectures documented in Meyer's synthesis, they share the compliance costs, they distribute the risk, and they ensure critical institutional resilience. Whether it's the Open Euro LLM consortium pooling their resources, the transatlantic alliance of Cohere and Aleph Alpha navigating really complex geopolitical compliance, or the massive industrial anchor of the Schwartz Group, these partnerships are structurally positioned to actually survive the enforcement window. Why? Because they aren't shouldering the heavy regulatory burden all by themselves. Section 4. Compliance as a competitive moat. This is all about turning regulatory burdens into strategic weapons. We really need to shift our mindset here and recognize regulation not merely as a burden, but as a foundational strategic weapon. The absolute critical concept is architectural compliance.
This is a design principle where regulatory alignment is built directly into the AI's foundational architecture and its training data from day one. It's not just layered on top later as a policy or some moderation filter. Standard commercial models from US developers generally treat compliance as a patch they slap onto an already trained model. But the stark reality? Standard commercial models cannot easily retrofit deep architectural safeguards without completely retraining their multi-billion-dollar models from scratch.
The Apertus model proves exactly how these architectural advantages act as a massive competitive moat. Take their retroactive robots.txt opt-out compliance, for example. This means they applied opt-out preferences to web data scraped from prior crawls, aligning perfectly with strict copyright directives. Or look at the goldfish loss objective. It replaces standard cross-entropy to actively prevent the model from memorizing verbatim training data. So when August 2026 hits, your cane-regulated institutions, like defense, state administrations, healthcare, they are going to strongly prefer vendors with this built-in architectural compliance for sure. Legacy commercial models simply cannot cross this moat.
Finally, Section 5, Scaling Industrial Anchor Investments, the true financial engine for European AI. Working as an EU policy advisor, when you look at how we actually fund sovereign infrastructure, it becomes immediately clear where the standard Silicon Valley venture capital model falls short for us. VC demands really fast cycles and is heavily exit-oriented. That is structurally misaligned with building multi-billion-euro long-term, highly regulated AI infrastructure. Conversely, the European industrial anchor model uses long-term industrial capital. It's converting massive retail or conglomerate revenue directly into sovereign AI infrastructure. To put that into perspective, breaking down the Schwartz Group's industrial anchor model reveals the staggering scale we're talking about here. Step 1, secure over 500 million euros into an anchor tenant like Alfalfa. Step 2, leverage massive industrial retail capital to build an 11 billion euro sovereign data center right in Berlin. Yes, 11 billion. And step 3, deploy the Stockit's sovereign cloud infrastructure to support compliant, regulated AI at scale. This level of sovereign investment simply cannot be matched by standard venture capital rounds. This is the financial engine that makes the whole portfolio approach possible, providing the required long-term stability for European AI. So, as the August 2026 enforcement clock rapidly ticks down, and remember, we are now just 12 weeks away from this absolutely critical moment, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to explore. Will we, as European policymakers, investors, and developers, strategically invest in our diverse, resilient portfolio of specialized partnerships? Or will we risk our entire sovereign AI future chasing the illusion of a single firm victory? The empirical evidence gives us the clear answer. Now we just have to execute. Thanks so much for joining this explainer briefing.